It's a season of strikes, and it's been happening on all fronts. In fact, there was one that was supposed to shut down the country that has been averted over the Senate decision to withdraw the sale of hotels. That's not what we're talking about. But there's still some strike going on. Colleges of education, they used to be called training colleges. One of the institutions I applied for, I never succeeded in getting to it. I'm happy I didn't. But their teachers are on strike. Their students who would graduate and become teachers are idling about on campuses. The institution that regulates the colleges of education has directed that their salaries be withheld. No work, no pay. They are angry. They say they are going to resist that to the best possible way that they can. So on Face to Face today, that's a conversation we are having with the regulator of tertiary education. My name is Umar Rusandamadu, and you're welcome to Face to Face. So my guest is Professor Ahmed Jinapor Abdulai. He is Director General Acting for Gtech, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. I am hoping I've got that right. Is that the title?
That's correct.
That's the name of the school.
Tertiary is not a school.
That's the name of the so it's a commission. It's a commission, a new creation.
Yes.
The last time I saw you, you were union leader. You were doing choboy, you were calling strike.
Yes.
Congratulations on your new appointment.
I think referencing my background in itself feeds into how we are able to do what is expected of us, because at the end of the day, experience, as they say, is the best teacher. And when you sit at the receiving end and you have to speak to individuals who happen to find themselves at a place that you happen to have been before, I think what you understand the issues, and you expect that they should more or less have confidence in you as an individual. I was not only a lecturer, but I was also a union leader. If you remember, I happened to be the secretary for UTAG at the time that Winneba was embroiled in most of the confusion that characterized that period, around 2017, 2018, 2019. Afro-Broni's time. I mean, but I think we've learned a lot from that, and based on that, we are able to advise and guide, especially the policymakers and the recipients.
How long have you been at Gtech for?
I've been at Gtech for the past 4 years. I came here in 2020.
So were you a deputy position before you got promoted?
I was deputy for 3 years.
Okay.
I was appointed to act just somewhere last year.
So you are no more a classroom person. You don't teach anymore, or you're able to do
I don't
both?
teach. No, I don't teach no.
So you're on secondment of a kind of retirement.
I'm on leave of absence. Okay. I cannot be on retirement. I'm not retirement. I'm on leave of absence.
You can always go back to the classroom.
Yes, but there are regulations regarding leaving classroom and going back. And as a regulatory agency, we enforce that, and we cannot break that. So currently, I'm on leave of absence without pay. And when it expires, I'll take the next decision.
So you are now an administrator. In the past, you were not. How are you seeing the difference?
Well, in the past, I was a lecturer, but I also held some administrative positions.
Okay.
I was
so this is not very
I was
strange.
head of department for a number of departments for a number of years.
Okay.
And I could say I was part of management.
Okay.
And not just part of management, as I indicated. I was also a union leader. Okay. So both gives me at least some understanding and appreciation of how the environment works, and I also happen to be on TV quite some time. I was on your station a number of times. I mean, you interviewed me a number of times on radio, so at least I understand how the environment works.
Let's talk about what you do. So, I mean, as a village boy, I knew GES and the circuit supervisor. He was called John. He would come and then check every time how we are doing in the school. You are doing the kind of circuit supervisor job at a higher level, aren't you? We have Gtech, we have a new National Accreditation Board. Okay. There's NACIA. Okay. We have the National Curriculum. NACA. All of these things at the tertiary level. Why do we have so many regulators at the tertiary level when we have just GES doing that work for us? I believe the basic school has more students than your side. So
that is very true, but I think the difference, even at the pre-tertiary level, it's not only GES. We also have NACIA, National Schools Inspectorate Authority. They more or less give accreditation, and they help in the establishment of mostly private institutions. You know, there's a spring up of a lot of private institutions in the country. NACIA needs to make sure that they meet the standards. Ghana Education Service is the body that more or less have oversight when it comes to public sector pre-tertiary institutions. NACA, which is the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, is the one that more or less models and approves and roll out the curriculum that informs how teaching and learning is done at the pre-tertiary level.
Do they also do books?
Yes, they supervise. They don't print the books, but they supervise what goes into what the books in terms of content and the pedagogy in terms of how it's taught and all those things.
Which people are in charge of the books?
The books, I think, the National Book Development Authority, which
we have
happens.
Like
yeah,
that.
It's in this building, just across the National Book Development Authority is the one that plays oversight.
So they print textbooks.
I think they
share textbooks.
I'm not very sure, but I know they have a role to play within that space.
Okay.
Interesting, when it comes to the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, which is Gtech, Gtech is a body made up of two bodies that existed before. The National Council for Tertiary Education, which provided policy advisory.
GNTCE, I think.
Okay, I have to check that. Yeah. But National Council for Tertiary Education was providing policy direction and advice to government when it comes to public tertiary regulatory space. And we also had the National Accreditation Board, which was providing accreditation in terms of establishment of institutions, running of programs, giving accreditation, and closure of institutions. So these two bodies were brought together under a singular umbrella called the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. And this body, as it operates now, is doing both, is taking on both responsibilities of policy, advisory, oversight, and accreditation, and any other matters. And
for tertiary institutions,
all tertiary institutions
both
in the
private
country,
and
both private and public.
So public universities,
colleges of education, nursing institutions,
polytechnics, or technical universities.
Polytechnics, technical institutions, technical universities. In fact, private technical institutions. Any institution that grants certification beyond a certificate, starting from diploma, needs to be regulated by the commission. But the interesting thing is that the nature of our job is not likened to that of GES. Because we don't have administrative oversight. Okay. And when I say administrative oversight, University of Ghana is a very autonomous institution. They have their council, they have their status, they have their enabling act. In fact, their promotion, appointments, and everything is devoid of Gtech's involvement. What we do is to set the minimum threshold. Minimum threshold in terms of admissible numbers for the colleges of education, numbers in terms of what should be the minimum admission requirements. And I keep on saying, for us at the commission, we work with the various institutions. So if, for instance, University of Ghana wants to run a nursing program, what Gtech does is to get individuals outside the University of Ghana for them to go and assess to find out whether what they are doing is fit for purpose. And we are talking of people who have expertise in nursing. So it's a peer review environment that Gtech administers. In terms of policy, we, based on our infrastructure, gather data and advise government in terms of how to go and what to do. And I must use the word advise. If you remember, not too long ago, the president did make mention of looking at the gross enrollment ratio for tertiary to be at a certain point. In fact, he's calling for around 40% in 2030. That audacious, more or less, figure put out there is informed by the data that Gtech is giving the Ministry of Education, which is transmitted to the president. So basically, our job in terms of regulation is not strict administrative oversight. Almost every institution, tertiary institution in this country, has its own structures that it uses to manage the institution. But our job is to come in when the institution is not doing the right thing, to more or less correct what they are doing. If they need assistance, we serve as a conduit between government and the institutions and between the outside tertiary educational players.
What about inspectorate board? There was something like that too.
Yeah, they have the, as I indicated, the National Inspectorate Board.
Is that also
authority.
Under your...
Yeah, no, that is not under us. We basically, the different directorates that falls under the commission are accreditation directorate, policy planning and evaluation directorate. They gives policy direction.
So when you go to University of Ghana to check the nursing program that they intend to run, do you inspect their facilities, physical facilities, or you just look at the program they intend to offer?
We do both, and we do more than that. So when you take a school like University of Ghana has about some 300 to 400, 500 programs that they run. Before they introduce a new program, the program has to come to the commission, which is Gtech, for Gtech to give policy approval. And by policy approval, what we are saying is that the University of Ghana is a government institution funded by the taxpayer. So if such an institution wants to run a program, one, it must not feed into the saturated job market of the Ghanaian economy. Two, it must be worthy of using the taxpayers' money to finance it, because the lecturers are going to be paid by the taxpayer. The resources and infrastructure are going to be what? Are going to be financed by the taxpayer. Three, we need to know the relevance of this program relative to our developmental aspirations. Does it feed into our developmental agenda? If it does not, then what do we do? So once that is granted, then we go into the next phase, which is called the quality assurance space. We need to find out whether they have the necessary infrastructure in terms of classrooms, in terms of faculty, in terms of laboratory, in terms of library, even in terms of the books that they are going to use to teach.
But you don't build facilities for them?
We do. We support them through Get Fund. Gtech serves as more or less the convener for Get Fund resources being dispersed to all tertiary institutions, in the sense that Gtech is the one that determines where the money should go, informed by the policy directorate's evaluation of what is going on in the institution. So when we go there, we are able to determine whether this school needs a classroom, it needs a laboratory, it needs more staff. And I must say, our institutional oversight is not a one-stop gap activity. There are so many avenues where we do that. One of them, as we indicated, has to do with program accreditation, where we go to check if that infrastructure is there. We also have something called cyclical review. And cyclical review mostly is for chartered institutions like University of Ghana. We do it every 5 years. We also have something we call academic audit. So once the institution is given accreditation, in between, the commission can commission people to go and check if there are any issues that are going on.
So you do continuous assessment?
We do continuous assessment. And we can also have an ad hoc audit, where if it so happens that the institution is reliably informed that an institution is not doing what is expected of them, we can commission people to go there. And in fact, in recent times, I don't want to mention names of schools where we've had agitations by students over their results, over their lecturers. We send people to go there. Again, it's also important that beyond the regulation, we also have a very good rapport with the institutions, where we try to organize workshops for them. In fact, we have a summer school which is coming on this year in Kumasi on the 2nd of September, where we intend to bring resource persons from the various institutions, universities. We are talking of vice chancellors, directors of quality assurance, directors of accreditation, where they will come and share their experiences and help their colleagues to emulate what they are doing. Again, we are also planning to have the first annual tertiary educational conference, where we want to establish a platform for industry, and most importantly, the institutions for us to collaborate. I mean, one of the biggest challenges that we've had in this country is that there seems to be a disconnection between industry players and the tertiary institutions. So in effect, it's not just about regulation, but being the platform whereby we try to assist the institutions for them to realize
so without your
actualize their potential.
A new university cannot be born in Ghana.
No.
And again, it means without your signature, a university cannot be killed. With what that means, that shutting down a university. What are the things that would make you shut down a university? Have you done any shutting down?
Well, currently, if you've been following the charter space of the Ghanaian tertiary educational environment, one of the issues that have gained a lot of attention has to do with a statement that I made at Cape Coast, where I indicated that by virtue of the law, which is at 1023, all private institutions are supposed to charter. And if they don't charter by then, they are going to be shut down.
That's when they give them the presidential charter.
They give them the presidential charter.
So that in the past where we have a university under another university, you don't want that to be happening?
We don't want that to be happening because we think it is being abused. Umar, as we speak, in this country, we have 310 tertiary institutions.
Seriously?
Yes. We have 179 private institutions. A country of our size. And most of
too much or too less?
I think it's too much.
Why?
I think it's too much in the sense that you have to look at the school population ratio. And you also have to look at what constitutes a tertiary institution. There are minimum requirements for you to be deemed as a tertiary institution, just as for you to be deemed as a media house. So what we are doing is to try as much as possible, not necessarily shutting down the institutions, but to make sure that they meet the minimum threshold of autonomy. And by autonomy, what we are saying is, currently we have so many of the institutions that are riding on the back of most of these well-established institutions to be issuing certificates.
So the person has a small...
He has a small corner building somewhere.
It says, I'm
then
affiliated
to University of Ghana, and he's issuing University of Ghana certificates. And in fact, when those...
But University of Ghana or University of Education would have come to do the assessment and associate
exactly. That is the ideal practice. But as we said, that is why we are checking to find out if that is the case. Because
do people perpetrate fraud in this instance so that they'll give you... In fact, I have seen or have received complaints from students who have gone to... They'll do graduation, they wear a nice graduation gown and everything, but they finish, they don't have a certificate.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then they say, oh, the owner of the school said he will give them a certificate. Nothing.
Exactly.
So you shouldn't run those mushroom universities. How do you kill them?
That is why we are using the charter model. The charter model will expose most of these institutions. And as I speak...
but is it easy to charter? My school, Ghana Institute of Journalism, has existed since Kwame Nkrumah's time. Yes. We only got a charter in 2007 or so.
Yes.
So it means that it's a difficult thing.
So I think Ghana Institute of Journalism is a different model altogether. Today, Ghana Institute of Journalism falls under UNIMAC.
Yes.
And it's formed by an act that brought 3 different institutions together. But here, what we are talking about is we are talking of private institutions that have existed all this while, and they work, and don't get me wrong, there are most of these private institutions that are doing extremely well. And in fact, most of them are even running to us, asking for charter. Just yesterday, I met the leadership of the EP Church with the moderator who came in. They want their institution to be chartered. We've had about 45 institutions within this past period who have been assessed, and they are due for charter. It is not as if every institution or private institution in this country is not doing well. But what we are trying to say is that within the remit of charter, we have quite a number of them that are not fit for purpose. In fact, we've had instances whereby you have the leadership of such institutions call themselves professors. You ask them where did they get their professorial rank, and they tell you it was through honorary. Where in this world have you heard people being honored as professors? So I think the space when it comes to adherence to accreditation within our current dispensation is one that is a little bit murky. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission is working as much as it can to tidy up that space. And in tidying up that space, all we are saying is that we are not asking for perfection, but the institution must meet at least the minimum threshold. And we are talking of an industry that is supposed to be the foundation of our developmental agenda, human resource development. You reference GIG. You are sitting here because you had a certain kind of education by a certain institution. And if that institution did not do its job well, I don't think you'll be sitting here. So it is a very serious matter that we are talking about. And fortunately for us, before the coming into being of Gtech, there was this kind of more or less institutions were not that ready to subject themselves to accreditation, especially the big schools. But today I can tell you in authority, you talk of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, one of the institutions that I always applaud for being one of the best in terms of being adherent to accreditation. If you remember, some time back, Parliament, the Public Accounts Committee, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, University of Cape Coast, and University of Ghana were reprimanded for being recalcitrant institutions. But I can tell you, the Vice Chancellor of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has been phenomenal. I mean, extremely forthcoming when it comes to accreditation.
But currently, do we still have programs in
public
universities that have not
No, we still do. I can't tell you on authority that now. I won't lie about that. We still do, but we are working on them. As we speak, there's been a lot that has been done in that direction.
When I go to a school,
yes.
or if I go to a school which is not accredited, does it mean my certificate is useless at the end of the day?
That is what,
I don't even know that.
That is what it's supposed to be, but I can tell you that is where we are getting to. Why am I saying this? Currently, we have a lot of foreign institutions that go on the website of Gtech to find out whether Omar's University, Unimac, is accredited, whether University of Ghana, the programs that they are running, whether they are accredited. The only way that they can find out whether they are accredited is checking on the website. In fact, I can tell you on authority that we've had instances whereby people have been given scholarships abroad. They check on Gtech website, the programs have not been accredited and the scholarships have been denied.
I see.
We had instances where people have been given admissions. In fact, National Service is in talks with Gtech, whereby programs that are not accredited and people source those programs, those people are not going to be posted. And by law, any program that is accredited, we forward same to them. The loans trust, the student loan trust, it's something that we are working. So we don't want to rush in that direction because as I indicated, the culture of adherence to accreditation has been what? Has not been forthcoming. If the institutions are doing well, it is our responsibility to support them, give them the necessary infrastructure, and give them the necessary guidelines for them to be able to what? To go through that. It's too interesting to know that we have institutions whereby the principals cannot even fill the simple accreditation questionnaire.
Wow.
Because they are not used to it. That is why we are trying to organize this summer school. We go to the institute, train them. I mean, give them the necessary tools, give them the necessary infrastructure.
You mentioned the EP church earlier. What's the role of the church in tertiary education? At the basic level, they set up a lot of schools, private schools. The GS runs them. At secondary school level, they have a lot of schools in their names. At the university level, at the tertiary level, do the churches regulate their own schools, or they just build them and let you regulate? What's your relationship with them?
The church, and when I say the church, I'm talking of
Religious
Christian
body.
and Islam,
Yeah.
have been very, very, relevant in tertiary educational delivery. In fact, when you look at most of our colleges of education, they were owned by the church. You go to Ola, St. Francis, St. Teresa's, Nasra Jahan. Mm-hmm. These are all institutions owned by the church. And for some reason, there are people who would want to source institutions that have some kind of church affiliation because of the uniqueness of the education that they provide. Notwithstanding the curriculum that is being given, there is something that adds to such kind of education that makes it attractive. I must say the church have been very supportive. And I do believe that the partnership that government have with the church is one that needs to be enhanced and needs to be strengthened. Currently, we have a number of institutions that have gained charter, both, denominational and non-denominational churches. You can talk of the Catholic University at Fiapre. You can talk of Methodist University. You can talk of Presbyterian University. In fact, the Accra Business School is one of the institutions that is owned by a pastor. You know, we have a number of them. And if you look at the private space, most of the private universities are owned by the church. Valley View University is owned by the church. What we've realized is that notwithstanding the commitment and the resources that they've put in supporting tertiary educational delivery. Today, Omar, we are going to speak about CTAG. We have some institutions that are privately owned that maybe their conditions of service are not up to members within government-regulated colleges of education who are in school. So I think that the church needs to be Needs to be supported. Okay. But once we support them...
But you work together, don't you?
Oh, we work together. Okay. We regulate them. They have their own infrastructure. But while we support them, one of the issues that Gtech have come to realize is that they seem to be stifled with student numbers because of the proliferation of satellite campuses run by most of the traditional universities. You go to any part of this country, you see a whole lot of tertiary institutions, secondary schools, primary schools, where you have satellite campuses named as distance centers. Because of that, most of these private institutions are not able to get students. So what Gtech has decided to do is to shut down all of these centers.
So if you are attending University of Ghana, you have to come to Legon?
You have to come to Legon, or even if you are going outside Legon, you must be in a center owned by the university, which is properly fashioned and placed to be able to deliver tertiary educational programs. So the business of going to secondary schools, Pando Secondary, to go and run tertiary programs is something that we are putting a stop to. Look at the infrastructure at a secondary school. Compare it to a big man like you're going to sit in a chair to take classes in psychology. It's something that we are shutting down.
But
And fortunately for it,
the universities closer to them, so they don't have to.
we have a number of institutions. And when we say providing universities closer to them, we are not talking of only public institutions. We have a lot of private institutions. That is why we give them what? The permission to what? For them to start such programs.
Okay.
I think Ghana as a country is not handicapped when it comes to tertiary educational institutions. We have a lot. The only thing that probably I would say is becoming a problem is the desire for what, quote and unquote, IGF, internal generated funds. The drive for money is what is pushing most of these institutions. But we don't have a problem if you want to look for money. But you need to make sure that you do the right thing.
Very well. I'm having a conversation with Professor Ahmed Jinapor Abdulai. He is the Director General acting for Gtech. We're having a conversation broadly on what they do here on Face to Face. We'll come back. The strike by the CTAG, what is their role in them? Is it a National Labour Commission issue? Or is it a Fair Wages and Salaries Commission issue? Is it a Ministry of Finance issue? What is their role? And why are they the ones saying that don't pay the people for the work that they are doing? Please stay with us. We'll be back with Face to Face in a bit. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face. My name is Honorary Ahmed. My guest is Professor Ahmed Abdulai Jinapor, or Ahmed Jinapor Abdulai. The positioning is problematic. Let's leave it like that. He is the Director General in charge of Gtech. He's my guest on Face to Face. Let's talk about Ghana Colleges of Education. They used to be called Teacher Training College. I applied for one of them, Akachi Training College.
I was at Akachi, I think last week.
I didn't get the admission.
That's interesting.
2007. I was very happy.
Maybe if you had gotten admission, it would have been Omar.
No. I'm happy I didn't get admission.
You didn't have gone to Ghana itself.
I'm happy I didn't get admission. I am very happy. So their name is now changed, Colleges of Education.
Yes.
They are on strike. What is the issue there? They say you are supposed to give them some money. And when I say you are, I mean governments. And you are not giving them their money, so they are on strike. Now you are saying that the small that they were even getting, we are collecting it. They are exercising their right to embark on an industrial action, which is guaranteed under the law, right to go on strike. Yet you are saying that their strike would be struck down by emptying their pockets. Talk to us about what's happening.
Umar, first of all, let me say it's unfortunate that we are where we are. Because to be honest with you, the colleges of education, as I keep saying all the time, are evolving. Evolving in the sense that you reference, initially they used to be called teacher training colleges or teacher training institutions. And they started issuing certificate B, then they came to certificate A, then they were transferred to the tertiary space under the auspices of the National Council for Tertiary Education, NCT, which is one of the pillars upon which Gtech is built, for them to start issuing diploma programs. Then they were given the mandate to issue degree programs. The idea and the orientation around this whole process was that they were supposed to be absorbed by the universities that they are affiliated to. In fact, the act that establishing them, Act 2012, Act 847, gave the universities the opportunity for them to sign memorandum of understanding for them to mentor those institutions. And based on the mentorship, once they reach a certain level that they can be deemed to be part and parcel of the university environment, they would have been absorbed.
Are you talking about the new act that converted them, or the previous act that established them?
The act that converted them.
So I know that a number of them were under University of Education Winneba.
Yes. So
what happened? So they become part of. A college.
What happened is that they were placed under 5 universities actually. So we have University of Cape Coast, which has Abetifi Presbyterian College, Atebubu College, Brekum College, Fosu College, Holy Child, Jessica, Kibi, Offenso, Ula, SDA, St. Ambrose, St. Francis, Mampong Ashanti, and St. Teresa's. Then we have University of Ghana, which has about 6 of them. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has 5 of them. University of Education Winneba has 7. Apia Minka has 8. Apia Minka, the new university. Yes. Then we have University for Development Studies. So the idea was that these institutions were supposed to be mentored. And when we talk about mentorship, we are talking of academic mentorship. And based on the mentorship, they were supposed to be absorbed somewhere in 2023. Absorbed. So they become part and parcel of the university.
So it becomes Akachi College of Education, University of Education Winneba.
It wouldn't have been called Akachi College of Education again. It would have been called Akachi Campus of University of Education Winneba.
Okay.
Just as we have a Jumako Campus of University of Education Winneba.
Okay.
And by that, what it would have meant is that the staff at Akachi could have been transferred to University of Education, Winneba, and the principal there could have been changed. And the scheme of service, the promotion, everything would have been rolled over.
So that was a law.
That was what was supposed to be done.
So it was not to, like we often hear, we've given them new blocks. We've also made them degree awarding institutions.
No, that was not the initial plan.
So they benefit under the
no,
students' loan.
That was not the initial plan.
Alawa. That was not what.
So the idea was you mentor them, then they will be absorbed by the schools, and it goes back to the mission again. Most of these institutions were owned by the mission schools. And by the arrangement that government had with the absorption of those institutions onto the government payroll was that the mission will nominate somebody to chair the governing council of that institution so that the identity that the institutions had relative to their history will not escape. Then the missions raised alarm that look, they are scared that the institution's identity will be lost. Because if you take a school like St. Teresa's or St. Francis, and it's absorbed, Mount Mary, College, and they are absorbed, I mean, the Catholic Church identity may be lost. And even what worsened their fears was that there was a mad rush of these traditional universities for satellite distance education programs.
So this becomes a chance for
them. It becomes a chance for them to run their nursing programs. So the Minister of Education, in his wisdom, thought that, look, let's put brakes on this particular exercise. Let's think through it. Maybe we can have a different framework to deal with it. But the absorption is a no-go. And in fact,
and this always happened after the act.
After the act, yes. In fact, recently, when the current minister became Minister of Education, so we are talking of post-2020, and he's always referenced Akokere, where he says Akokere is one of the oldest institutions, even older than the mentoring institution. So how can the grandmother be mentored? So we found wisdom in that, and the institutions agreed to. What it meant was that the automatic rollover of the scheme of service was stayed. Because if they weren't absorbed, it meant that you could not automatically get a condition of service of the institutions. So CTAC took the case to the National Labour. CTAC raised concern that they want what is called parity of prestige. And by parity of prestige, what they were asking for is that what is being paid to the lecturers, the professors, the associate professors, the senior lecturers, and all those, same should be extended to them.
Because they are at par.
Anyway, they are at par
by the law.
By the law. So, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission took the case to National Labour Commission. It wasn't CTAC. Fair Wages and Salaries Commission position was that the staff and faculty at the colleges are not on the same rank, and in terms of qualification, they couldn't be on the same. So, National Labour Commission gave a ruling. In fact, there were three major issues that they spoke to. One, they said Gtech should conduct a staff audit. And by the staff audits, they should pay individuals, I think it's here, that an order that the agreed rates, the complaint is directed as the chief negotiator for the employer to ensure that Gtech will expedite and conclude the ongoing staff audit for the respondent on or before 31st July 2023. Mm-hmm. An order that the agreed rates payable to public universities shall be applied to deserving members. Omar,
that's those who have qualified after the
exactly. It's here. Deserving members. Mm-hmm. So if deserving members, it cannot be every member. It cannot be every member. So
did you get some deserving members and you did not get some?
Of course.
Because I'm looking at the third issue.
Yes.
In order that the implementation of the condition of service shall commence from 1st
January 2023. Yeah, I'll speak to that. Mm-hmm. So there's no ambiguity about the rule. It said deserving. So Gtech conducted the audit. When we conducted the audit, Umar, the entry requirement for you to teach at the university is a PhD. However, there are some programs that you may not have PhD people, but you need people to teach. And it's very peculiar with the technical universities.
You consider them. You lower them by a bit.
But you give them a threshold for them to get the minimum. And that is what is called assistant lecturer. So when we did the audit, we realized about 98% of the staff of the colleges of education did not have, terminal degree. So we started negotiation. We gave the document to the PRINCOF, which is their principals, for them to look at the document, validate the information, and let's have a conversation. And our position was, Those who have PhD, let's migrate them. Let's put them on what? The payroll of the university.
The parity.
Those who don't have the PhD, especially those who are already enrolled, there are some who have enrolled. Let's also put them at assistant lecturer. Those who haven't enrolled at all, let's have a conversation and see how we can work around it and make sure that at least nobody is going to be what? Disadvantaged. In fact, as we speak, Umar, I have a number of letters on this whole issue of migration. I have a letter here from Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. It's here. Request for nomination to constitute a committee to migrate staff of the colleges of education. 11th July 2024. These are the representation. It's coming from Fair Wages. You come again. This is a letter, Director General. Submission of budget covering the exercise to migrate the staff of what? College of Education. They are asking for money from Gtech. And this is the amount. The amount is here.
So that they will work
they
on
will
the
work on
migration.
that. And it's not as if we are not doing, but I just want to use this platform to speak to CTAG members. What has been the contention is that they hold the position that everybody must be migrated as is. Whether you are on PhD, whether you have PhD, or whether you've not enrolled on PhD.
Because they are university now.
They are equivalent to university. They are not university. For you to be called a university, there are certain thresholds that you need to meet. I can say on authority that the Minister of Education has agreed to what? For Gtech to migrate everybody. All those who don't have PhD, who don't, are going to be placed equivalent of what? An assistant lecturer.
That's those who are in school looking
whether
for
whether you are not in school.
Okay.
That is the concession that the ministry.
So you made that concession.
Yes, we've made that concession.
That was not your plan.
That was not. So now we've agreed that whether you are on PhD or you are not on PhD, you'll be placed at what? An assistant lecturer. Okay. And this is the scheme that we intend to do. Chief tutor will be placed at the same level as a professor. Principal tutor, associate professor. Senior tutor, senior lecturer. Tutor, lecturer. And the transitional state, assistant tutor, you must have a research master's. You'll be placed as what? A research assistant what? Lecturer. We believe that this will more or less, curb the perennial strike action that is going on. But this is the caveat. The caveat is you cannot stay as an assistant lecturer in perpetuity.
You have to go and develop yourself.
You have to develop yourself, exactly. And we are going to use the scheme of service of your affiliate institution. So if you happen to be affiliated to University of Ghana, as in this particular case, you take Accra College of Education, EP College of Education, Enchi College of Education, Gwiwa College of Education, St. Mary College of Education, and Peki College of Education. For you to be called a chief tutor at these institutions, you must possess the requisite dossier of being a professor at University of Ghana. For you to move from a lecturer to a senior, from as a tutor to a senior tutor, you must be able to go through what? The same procedure for you to move from a lecturer to a senior lecturer.
And is there a duration for that? Or it will
apply
to whatever
the university plans are.
And they did not accept this?
No, this is what we are putting before them. And the minister has called for a meeting tomorrow. He's called for a meeting for CTAG. We've written to them. They are supposed to meet the minister. And this is why we are calling for parity of prestige. Parity of prestige comes with parity of responsibility. In fact, our aim is to position the colleges of education at the level of an academic autonomous faculty. So you take you take a school like Agogo Presbyterian College of Education. Agogo Presbyterian College of Education is going to be positioned as a faculty of what? Education at University of what? Education Winneba. What it means is that if you are the principal of Agogo College of Education, you are equivalent to what? A dean. What does it take for you to become a dean? What pertains at University of Ghana, University of Education Winneba, is the same thing that is going to be applied to you. That said, we've also asked Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, as you've seen in the budget that I've just shown you, for them to expedite action. And in fact, they have a timeline, Omar. For University of Cape Coast, they plan to do the migration in 10 days. University of Cape Coast has one of the highest number of what? colleges under their ambit.
So they'll migrate all of those ones to the levels that they are qualified to be at.
Even if you are not qualified to be at worst scenario, you'll be placed as an assistant lecturer. So nobody is going to be made worse off.
So but your salary and emoluments is
going to go up. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. There's no doubt. That's why they are asking for this parity of prestige. It's all about money. If not, Omar, look at it. You are a chief tutor in a college. That is the highest position. When you are migrated, you are going to be brought down to an assistant tutor. But you say, hooray, I want it. Why? Because the chief tutor's commensurate allowance and salary is not the same as what even an assistant.
So it's a huge promotion.
It's a huge promotion. On another issue of all year round, one of the issues that came up in the ruling, and I think with your permission, let me just reference that.
While you look for that, I just wanted to have an understanding. So this proposal of yours is something you are yet to meet them with.
Yes, it's something,
you are going to meet them tomorrow with this plan.
The irony is, the CTEC members have been quite adamant in even heeding to the call of government. We've taken so many steps to call them to the table, but they've not been They've not been responsible.
So what they are doing is like bad faith?
I mean, I think it's bad faith.
But I'll ask you a question about bad faith, because here's the case. You are also saying that they should not be paid their salary. Let me take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about that. This is Face-to-Face. We'll be back with more. You're welcome back. This is Face-to-Face on Channel 1 television. So you are having a negotiation of a sort with these teachers who are striking at the colleges of education. And yet, while you're on the negotiating table, you are saying that their salary should not be paid. That would make them angrier, and you may not get...
So we've not been on a negotiation table.
What I mean by negotiating table is this plan that you...
And the reason why I argue that we are not on the negotiation table is that the National Labour Commission gave a ruling. And once a commission of that kind, of the stature of a court, gives a ruling, you have no option than to abide by it. And in all our conversations with CETA, government has not, at any point in time, indicated that it is not ready to fulfill the ruling of the commission. Neither have it said that the demands of CETA are not legitimate. And as I indicated, steps are being taken. And when we say government has a lot of agencies underneath it. Gtech is a state agency, and the evidence that I provided you points to the fact that things are being done. In fact, the budget that has been provided to Gtech ideally should have been funded by the colleges of education. They have to pay for it. But because of the agency that we attach to it, the commission is ready to look for money, get it funded, and get reimbursement. On the issue of one of the reasons for them being on strike, top up for book and research allowance, Omar. This was a ruling that was given by National Labour Commission that Gtech has to make sure that it is done. This is a letter signed by the Director of Budget. It goes to all 46 colleges of education.
So there's an intention to pay?
No, there's not the intention. Action is being taken. It says the Ministry of Finance has released the research allowance top-up warrant, copies attached, for your reference to enable your institution process payment voucher through GIFMIS per the budget lines the funds have been released onto. For any questions or clarifications. So when I go to Offensive College of Education for their graduation ceremony, and I call them that they should call off the strike because the money is being worked on, and you tell me, give us our money. When you know this is government money, it's supposed to go through GIFMIS, then I don't think you are being fair. This is the paper trail to that.
So you're saying, what you're saying is that you are effecting...
We are effecting the ruling of National Labour Commission. So and that brings us to why we say they should not be paid their salaries. Because if all these things are done, Umar, you are here working, and based on the work you do, that is why you are paid. Since 14th of June, members of CETA have not stepped foot in the classroom. Today is the 23rd. The minister, in his wisdom, directed Gtech to call on controller for their salaries to be stopped. But for me, that is not...
That. If you do that, then you're making them angry.
No, it's not about anger.
It means that the solution you're seeking
it's not about anger. It's about what the law is. Work done for what? Salary earned. But for me, what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, whether the salaries have been stopped or not, what we are calling on CETA to do, as a matter of urgency, go back to the classroom because your demands are being met. In terms of the salary stoppage, I think this is not the first time that we've been through that. If we have a harmonious environment where all the parties agree that this issue needs to be resolved and resolved in perpetuity, amicably and in permanence. And one of the means of resolving it in permanence, post being in the classroom, is for us to look at how this whole issue of what salary freeze can be resolved. I don't think the minister is going to, take an entrenched position to say that he's not going to more or less look at it.
You're a former unionist.
Yes.
On all the times that you were on strike as UTAC, were your salaries withheld?
I don't remember any time that
so why are you sitting in this chair and allowing that to happen?
No, it's not about allowing that. It's about the situation where we find ourselves relative to what is being done in resolving the situation.
Is it not a constitutional right they are exercising?
Okay, so Omar, it's a constitutional right.
Why don't you rather
hold on.
Why don't you rather go to the court and have the court
Are you aware that National Labour Commission have gone to court to place an injunction on CETA going on strike?
They say that
they have been in court.
They say NLC behaves as though it is on government side and not an independent habitat.
That is NLC's for it to defend itself.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is there are institutions that are supposed to govern our actions within the space that we find ourselves. And as I indicated, the issue of salaries being withheld or not, it should not be the bane of this whole conversation. This is not the first time that has happened. As you are aware,
is there a possibility to get their salaries
Why
back?
not? Why not?
The one that has been withheld.
Of course. There have been instances where their salaries have been withheld and it's been given back to them. But let's face the truth and let's be logical, Omar. You can go on strike, and strike is permissible for a certain period. If we want to extend it and stretch it, then the argument will be that CETAG members or even any employee can stay off the job for any number of months or years and still demand his salary. All what I want us to emphasize on and zero our energy on is that government with Gtech is doing its best, and not just in words, but in action. And I've given you the evidence. What for me is even more refreshing is that the most difficult aspect of this whole conversation that has prolonged for all these years, having to do with parity of prestige, is being resolved. And it's not only resolved, but it's resolved now. And I can tell you that we've given the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission up to 30th of what did they call it, of September, for this whole exercise to be completed. And not completed as a totality. We are looking at them in badges. So those under University of Cape Coast, and it's for a good reason why we chose those under University of Cape Coast, because that's the largest number. They have about 15 institutions. So if, Omar, you happen to be in a different institution and you see that your colleagues have been migrated,
then you know that
there's a sign. So I'll plead with them that, look, we cannot continue to bastardize our institutions in this manner of continual perennial strikes, because the more you go on strike, the more you make your institutions unattractive.
This meeting that you planned with the minister, have they expressed interest in attending?
The minister is inviting them.
So would they come?
I don't know whether they will come, but unfortunately they've not been heeding to our call. If they've been heeding to our call, Omar, all this information that I'm sharing with you,
so it means that the meeting may not come.
Well, we hope it comes. We hope it comes. And as I indicated, all the documents that I've shown to you are documents that predates yesterday's fiat that was issued. So if they had engaged us, as we've been calling on them, I believe that would have solved this issue. But that notwithstanding, it's never too late than ever. I think we have the opportunity for us to resolve this issue, and not just to resolve it, but to resolve it permanently.
Very well.
This continuous strike by CETAG does not augur well for the educational tertiary architecture that we hope.
In the interim, what are you doing to students who are there? Their exams coming up, they've not been taught for more than a month. What would be your message to you?
Well, we've been engaging with the student leadership. In fact, they happened to be here just last week.
Okay.
I met them, and informed by what we were doing, we knew we were going to get the issues resolved. So I told them personally that we are going to get it resolved. What we were looking for was for us to start the migration and to get the payment done as you've seen. And we believe once that is done, CETAG would have more or less heeded to our call to come back to the classroom. But I must say that as the regulatory agency, we have the power to recalibrate the calendar to make sure that we accommodate the 1 month that is lost, so that they benefit. The only thing that is going to happen is that it might affect their holidays.
Some of them are saying that it's an election year. You shouldn't be engaging in these problems.
Well, we see every year as an important year. For us sitting here, whether it's 2024, 2021, 2022, We see each of the years as important as it is, and the actions that we are taking is not informed by any elections. We want to make sure that we have sanity in the tertiary educational delivery space.
Before we go, there's an issue I wanted to raise with you when we're discussing the accreditation of universities. You have issue with the award of honorary professorship and doctorates. Are you saying that we should stop, or you're saying it's unlawful?
So Omar, honorary certification is honorary causa. Honorary causa, you cannot use it in terms of a title. You can call yourself Alhaji Omar after going to what?
Hajj.
Hajj. But once an institution gives you an honorary doctorate, it is not academic. It is not something that you worked for. So, in fact, when you even write it, you put in brackets honorary what causa. But it looks as if it's becoming such a thing in this country that almost everybody is calling himself doctor. And not only that, we have institutions that are making it a culture of just doling out what? Honorary doctorates without recourse to certain, I mean, at the end of the day, for somebody to be honored with a doctorate, it should be one in maybe a year or 2 or 3. Now, it will interest you to know, and quite unfortunate, that we have people who are calling themselves honorary professors emeritus. And I think the commission is going to crack the whip. We are working with the various institutions for them to guide us as regards to how we can nip this thing in the bud.
Are you not just being jealous that you went through long
It's not about jealousy, no.
To become a doctor?
I mean, if you say jealous,
someone decides that they have also merited.
If you say jealous, then you are even oversimplifying the case, in the sense that I can't sit here and call myself Commissioner of Police. I can't sit here and call myself Inspector General of Police. These are ranks, and it's a title that is given within a certain environment. That is why in the university environment we call people professors. You can be as meritorious as anything. You can be the best businessman. So far as you haven't gone through the rigors of attaining that rank,
you haven't done the thesis.
Yes, as useless as the thesis might be, that is how you got it. That is why it's not anybody who can be as knowledgeable as anything to be called a lawyer. That is how you can be as intelligent as anything. You cannot be called what? A justice. So I think we need not simplify it. This business of people just being, I mean, America has the most universities in the world. How many people do you hear called doctors in America when?
So for you to be a doctor, you must either be a medical doctor,
you must
or
be a
PhD doctor, and you've earned it. So in the future, we should not have. You should not have.
No. I mean, if you are honored as a doctor, it stays there and it ends there with the citation.
So I can't go ahead and say
it's an honor. You cannot be calling yourself doctor. That is the culture.
But if people call me that, they gave me the thing. They say I'm a doctor.
That's why I'm saying that it is wrong. And as the body that regulates that space.
So then stop them from giving the doctorate.
We cannot stop them. But that is why I indicated that we are having a conversation.
Prof, if you can't stop them, then you can't stop me from
it's not as if
calling
we
myself
cannot,
that.
It's not as if we cannot stop them. What we are saying is that by the manner in which we exercise our mandate, we don't subscribe to this prescriptive kind of solutions to issues. I cannot go and tell University of Ghana that, look, University of Ghana, don't issue honorary doctorates. I think I can have a conversation with the Vice Chancellor. Let her appreciate the problem and the challenge that we are having with them giving a lot of honorary doctorates and they more or less diffusing the doctorates that they give informed by research, hard work, and I think she will appreciate where I'm coming from and understand me. We want to work in a collaborative environment. We want a situation whereby we can have discourse. We don't believe in this position of being a police. And I think that is the tangent that Gtech is moving to.
Professor Ahmed Jinapor Abdulai, Acting Director General Gtech, thank you for joining us on Face to Face. And my name is Umaru Sandamaro. It's been great coming your way. We'll be back again next week on your screens. Stay with us.